How you doing, everybody? This is Jesse, aka Drakbolt, creator and developer of Dune 2: The Golden Path, and this is a network game in progress. I am recording voiceover for a game that I recorded video for about a week ago. Unfortunately, the video file got damaged a little bit, so we're coming in right at 19 minutes into the game already. This is between Puxii and TheRaffy. It ended up being a fantastic long game. You can see there's a lot of back and forth going on here. TheRaffy is Ordos, and Puxii is Atreides. Puxii is moving forward with rocket launchers and infantry, and he's getting met with a Sardaukar counter from TheRaffy. Um, this was an epic game. I wish I had the original 19 minutes before this, and this video file is really screwed up. You'll see some you'll see some jumping around at the end. It actually goes back to the beginning of the file. The index got totally screwed up. So anyway, um, there's already been a lot of back and forth. From what I remember, there were already a lot of great things happening in this game. Um, Actually, Puxi was, he's working very well in this game. He's really been keeping up the harassment already, almost throughout the entire game. He immediately got some combat units out and started harassing the Raffi, which is not something he normally goes for. So he's really improving his tactics lately and branching out into some new strategy. Puxi is taking a little attack over here from the Sardaukar, probably going to take down that starport, which they do. Rocket launchers will do some serious damage to them. You can see they start to go down, but the Sardaukar are pretty strong, so they're taking a lot of shots. And here comes a drop of a couple of siege tanks as support. They're definitely going to kill that harvester and do some more damage to Puxi overall. Now, you can see that Puxi does not have his usual trademark, 1,500 refineries. He's only got four of them there we can see, and I think a little below that there's at least one more on the screen, but I don't have control over the map area because, again, this is just a voiceover, a redub. So there's two more refineries. But normally at this point in the game, 20 minutes into the game, you would expect Puxi to have a lot more than that. So he's been just really keeping up the pressure on the Raffi. There's a Merc attack that he called in right at the edge of the Raffi's base. Um, Doing a fair little bit of damage. Do manage to take down the Ix, which is always good. If you take down your opponent's Ix, then they lose a 5% damage bonus that you get automatically just by having one of those powered. So, keep that in mind. That is in the manual for the game. I know I've said it before in the forums that if you have an Ix active, then all of your people have a 5% bonus damage. So it's not a drop in the bucket. It's not something to overlook. Here's another quick drop by the Raffi, just jumping down a siege tank for whatever reason, just keeping things moving, probably trying to get those rocket launchers taken back a little bit. And now see, look at Puxi. He's really using his carryalls. He's moving people around, trying to get them out of there, doing the absolute correct counter against the siege tank, which is infantry, and the Raffi doing the intelligent thing with the siege tank, which is retreating at that point. So throughout this game, both players playing very well, very intelligently, and you can see the Raffi as well is, he normally opens with 6 refineries. I don't remember how many credits they actually started this game with. I think it was probably based on what my observer credit total is there and gaining basically 1 credit per second. Um, it looks to me like they probably started at 2,500 maybe or 2,000. So they definitely did not start the game with 3,000 credits, which is great. I love to see that because it really changes how the game plays out. It's much truer to the original form of the game. So here comes Puxi with a nice little mixed force of siege tanks, infantry, and rocket launchers. That should do quite a bit of damage. The Raffi is trying to Puxi's not really moving out with that. The Raffi is trying to bring his people back and regroup a little bit and get people in a good position to attack and defend. I hope he is purposefully keeping people on the dunes. So many people forget that the dunes give you a really good defensive bonus, even though they slow you down. So I hope to be able to point out either of these players actually making good use of the dunes. I'm not sure if they will or not. There's a little there's a little raider trike going. Well, not a raider, but a trike going completely unmolested, shooting at a refinery. And here comes an extra drop after the little scouting insurgency by the Raffi. He's dropping down a few siege tanks, trying to do some damage. I think that's the bulk of his offensive forces right now. And unfortunately, I don't see any kind of anti-air units or buildings for Puxi. So right now, the Raffi is able to just airdrop, and you can see he's just picking them up and taking them away. He's able to do that pretty much at will. Gonna lose that siege tank to the infantry, though. Yeah, he does. So never underestimate infantry. They're very cheap, very weak, but a very good counter against certain kinds of units. Even siege tanks can't do very well against them. So here comes Puxii moving forward with his little mixed group here. Very nice little mix. Got the infantry, siege tank, and a few rocket launchers. That's capable of doing some very serious damage to buildings very quickly. So we'll see how this works. He is moving up. He does have some infantry already at the front. A little expeditionary force moving forward. I'm not sure where he's deciding to stage this attack. Looks like he's going deep into enemy territory to begin the attack, which is good, except that he's running right past some siege tanks and taking some fire. And here is TheRaffy. Looks like I don't know if he's responding with these strikes or if he's just scouting around. Yeah, here he goes. So here's TheRaffy, basically just causing a bunch of Puxii's units to get eaten by worms, essentially. And with Worm Sign, Puxii has also told his units to stop. Unfortunately, that rocket launcher is too close to the trike, so it cannot fire at that range, and it's not able to move away at the moment. Here comes a drop from TheRaffy, and Puxii immediately pumped out a whole bunch of infantry to counter that, which worked very well. I do believe the siege tanks were able to perhaps take down a building, it looks like, before they got cleared out of there. So they kind of did their job, and they made it out of there without too much trouble. So I would love to see Puxii put up at least one rocket turret or maybe a couple of flak trikes. That would really be nice, just to discourage at least enemy drops. One rocket turret on its own isn't going to take down a carryall, but unless it's carrying something very heavy. But it's good enough to at least send them back for repairs for quite a while. So it's always good to have some anti-air in your base somewhere. It'd be nice to see. So right now, Wormsign has just ended. Looks like the Raffy is building a few structures in the upper left. Looks like one might be a palace, based on the size of the structures up there. So he might be going for special units. No, he already has a palace. So I'm not sure what he's building up there in the upper left. He's already got a palace and a starport. So I'm not sure. Maybe just a bunch of walls and some other buildings. Anyway, here comes Puxii moving out with a whole pile of infantry. Looks like he's just deciding to move straight ahead with that. I think he probably lost his other force in the upper right, the rocket launcher and the other infantry, because the TheRaffy definitely had enough to handle that. So once Wormsign died, I think the TheRaffy probably just moved in and cleared that little force out. But here comes definitely a human wave tactic assault from Puxii, and he's retreating, and I have no idea why. I mean, that's silly. He hears me saying, no, 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 don't retreat. Whatever you do, don't retreat. Get up there. I mean, he's got siege tanks. You definitely want to attack siege tanks with infantry. It's a great idea. Now, here's something that you see the TheRaffy doing. He's done throughout this game is he has offensively used his armed harvesters by airlifting them into certain locations. Look at this. Here come all the armed harvesters. They're just going to sit there and take shots at the infantry, which is good. But they're definitely not combat units. And the biggest thing to remember here, I know Puxii was complaining earlier on in this game before we started this video how he felt like the armed harvesters were really kind of an unfair advantage. But you got to remember that if one armed harvester is being sent out to attack like this, that's one entire refinery operation that's not currently active. It's one entire operation that's not producing any credits. And then it's extra management. So you see the TheRaffy is wasting some extra time. He's got some harvesters that are sitting there. They've killed all their enemies, but they're not doing anything. So there's a good hit to his economy. That's something to keep in mind. Here come the infantry going back for round 2. They've picked up a few reinforcements, and they're coming back. The TheRaffy is continuing to put all of his armed harvesters right up there at the front, and it looks like perhaps Puxii is deciding to move a little bit, change his angle of attack a little bit to avoid all his armed harvesters, or maybe not. Looks like